What's up, team? Fullest again, Amy. Welcome back to my channel. Welcome to Click of my canal. So today I'm going to show you guys how to make cassava and plantain fufu. Yes, you guys love the video that I did with the cassava fufu. So I'm going to show you guys how I make the plantain mix, cassava mix with plantain. It's very nice. For some of you guys who do not like, because the cassava on its own is very soft. It's not like super hard, like the yam fufu, but it's very soft. And if you have kids, for me my kids prefer the cassava fufu because it's very soft and it's not like super thick. It's very light. It's very easy for the kids to swallow. So if you're somebody who likes something like that, then the cassava fufu is the best. But also the cassava and the plantain mixed together makes it a little bit thicker, but it's not like super hard like the yam fufu. So the kids also like that one, but I make most of the time in the house, I make the cassava fufu because that was the kids like the most. I also like the plantain mixed together with it. It's very nice. You can use ripe plantain or you can use like the one that I'm using right now at the moment. Sometimes I do use the super ripe plantain. It all depends on what I have in the house. So I'm just going to like take off the skin, cut the plantain into pieces, like very tiny pieces. That way it's easy to blend. When you do that, also with the cassava, cut it into pieces and then like very tiny pieces in these little blocks. By that way it's very easy to blend. If you want, you can buy the cassava fufu, the one that is already grind, from the markets, the African store. You can buy it there. Where I buy the cassava fufu in the African store, they sell it like 3 packs for €5. If you want, you can buy that. I do also have those ones at home for the days that I don't feel like going through all this process with peeling the cassava, cutting it into pieces, and then make fufu out of it. I do have the cassava fufu, the one I buy in the store. Or what you can do to give yourself extra time is maybe one day go to the markets and buy a bunch of cassava, take time off that day, come home, peel the cassava, cut it into tiny pieces, wash it, and then put it in a plastic bag and then put it in the freezer. That one will also save you a lot of time. I also do that a lot. Put it in the freezer, and then when I want to make cassava fufu for the kids, I just take out the plastic bag and then leave it for it to cool down and then blend it. That one is even more better because then the cassava has already soaked. It's like, the ice, it's soaked. So by the time the water, the cassava get melted, everything get melted. The cassava is very soft, so it's very easy to blend. It's much more easy to blend than the fresh cassava when you are blending the fresh cassava, because this one is fresh, it's a little bit harder. But that one you put in the freezer and then take it out when it's time to use it. It's very easy. I do that all the time. So I go to the market and I buy a bunch of cassava and I come home, clean everything, cut it into pieces, put it into different bags, and then put that in the freezer. So when it's time for me to cook, I just take the bag out and then peel this and then leave it for it to melt, wash it, and then blend it. That one is very easy. But yeah, this is how I do it. I prefer this one. It's very easy to do. It's very nice. I love the cassava. I love fresh things because fresh cassava, there's no preserver into it, there's nothing to make the cassava stay long. So it's just fresh cassava. You can get fresh cassava from the African store, but I live in the Holland, and also right now in the markets we have this Friday and Saturday markets in the next city, where in my village where I live we don't have big market like that where they sell cassava. We do have like a fruit market where they sell bread and fruit, but nothing has to do with African food. But we do have like in the bigger city, not too far, 20 minutes with a train, 35 minutes with a car. You can go there and get like the markets, the Friday and Saturday markets, where you can get cassava, you can get cocoa yam, You can get plantain, kabaka banan. We call it in Dutch kabaka banan. You can get it there. And so most of the time I go to the market and buy it when I'm like, okay, you know what? Because sometimes in the market it's a little bit cheaper than in the African store, honestly speaking. No shade, but sometimes it is a little bit cheaper in the market than in the African store. So sometimes I do go to the market. All depends. If I don't meet the markets, I can pick it up in the African store. But if I'm like in around this, if I'm going to the city on one of those 2 days, Saturday or Friday or Saturday, I will definitely go by the market and buy it there instead of going to the African market, the African store. So yeah, so this is what I do, and this one really, really helps me. Just clean it, wash it, put it in the freezer, and when it's time to use it, I use it. That also helps save a lot of time. But some of you guys want to see how I do it step by step, so now I'm going to show you. The only thing is that when it's time to mix that fufu, you need some muscles. So it's not only about the eating, but you need to have some muscles, some strength to be mixing that. It's not funny. Even when you buy the one that is already made in the markets, in the African store, the flour, the everything, to mix it is not a funny job. But I love eating fufu. Me and the kids in my household, fufu is an okra soup, fufu and granite soup, fufu and ogusi soup, fufu and banga soup, fufu and any kind of food that you can eat with fufu. It is our favorite food in the house. It's super. It's our favorite soup. I really, really love it. So I'm just going to cut all the cassava, and make sure you cut it exactly the same. You don't want to cut this one big, this one small, this one big, this one small. I'm just going to use a normal blender, so you want to cut it very, very small so that the blender do not get hot and goes off and leave you on the way, because if that happen, that means you have to wait for another 30 minutes or 20 minutes before you continue with your blending. You have to allow the blender to get cold. So that's the reason why I like to cut it in a very, very tiny pieces. Make sure everything is cut very tiny, and then wash it so that when it's time to blend, I will blend it very smoothly and the blender will not go off on me, because it has happened to me once, guys, where I cut the cassava a little bit bigger. It was a little bit bigger, and then I was blending, and then the blender just went off. The blender just went off on me. I was like, I was so pissed, because that day that mean that we had to eat dinner a little bit later. It wasn't super late, but it was 30 minutes late because the blender just went off on me. So since that day, I'm like, you know what? I'm really going to take my time. I know it's kind of crazy and frustrating to be cutting it into tiny, tiny pieces, but I better do that than to wait for 30 minutes for the blender to get cool again. So now I'm just going to wash everything, both the cassava and the plantain. I'm just going to wash everything. Make sure just wash it, and then after washing it, you're just going to keep blending, let the water run through. That's the reason why I put it in that shifter, so it's easy to wash. Let the water run through, get rid of anything that is not needed, and after that is done, we are going to blend. So this is the part that you don't want the blender to go off on you. That's the reason why you cut it in a tiny pieces. So first you're going to start with little cassava and then put water. Try not to put a lot of water, because if not that, it will get too watery when it's time for you to make it. So try not to put a lot of water. And with this blender, you can't put a whole lot of cassava and then expect it to blend just like that. So you have to put little by little. You put cassava, you blend. You put cassava, you blend. You add a little bit of water. Put cassava, you blend. Add a little bit of water. That is all. And that water is not a full cup of water. It's just a half. It's just half cup of water. And that is how I'm blending it. It's patient, guys. It's patient, but for me, I don't mind. I like patience as long as it's good food that is not going to bring me any complication. I have patience for that. I have patience to eat good food. I have patience to prepare and eat good food. So that one, I have no complaints. But this is very easy for me blend, put small cassava, blend, put small cassava, blend, put small cassava, and that is how you're going to continue to do it till the entire cassava is done. So yes, you guys can see now the cassava and the plantain blend together. As you guys can see, the cassava has a little bit of color. That is because the plantain is in there. Just make sure everything is smoothly blend. Open it, mix it, just to make sure everything is blend. So now that you have done with the blending, this is where the time for you to show that you have been going to the gym, the time for you to show that you have been eating good food has arrived. Because I'm not joking, to mix this one is not a funny thing. You need muscles, you need strength, you need to be doing press up. But you need to be doing press up, because after you're done mixing this one, your hand will have some muscles. But the sweetest part is after you're done with everything, when you are sitting down now, enjoying your food, chewing your meat, you will not even recall of the stress you go through of making it. That's the best part. You go through a lot to make it, but then when you are sitting down, enjoying your fufu with whatever soup you like, putting some TV on, you will not even remember all the stress you went through of making it. So as you guys can see, the cassava and the fufu, the cassava and the plantain blend together, how smooth everything is looking. So now what I'm going to do, I'm going to add a little bit of salt, just a little bit of salt, because I like the taste. I just like a little bit of salt in there. It tastes mwah, it tastes delicious. So now you're going to mix. You're not going to stop. There's no stop here, there's no break. You're going to mix. I'm going to show you guys from the beginning to the end, because I'm going to speed this video a little bit, but I'm going to show you guys. I'm not going to cut this part, so bear with me that this part is long, but I really want you guys to see how it's going from that, how it's going to thicken up little by little, so you guys know what I'm talking about. But yeah, this part, I don't know what to explain. This part is mixing. You're going to mix for your generation. You're going to mix for your family, mix for your children, mix for your stomach. It's going to be mixing. By the time you are done, you have muscles. Your hand will have some muscles. You don't need to go to the gym anymore to be lifting iron. This is the iron that you're going to. So as you guys can see, I'm like changing hand, changing position, because this is not funny. As you guys can see, the more I'm mixing, you guys can see it's getting thicker. That is how you know that it's cooking. The more you are mixing, the more it's getting thicker and thicker and thicker. You're going to keep on mixing so that the cassava and the fufu do not mix those little bump. You know how sometimes when you cook cassava, it gets those little bump things that make into it. I don't like it. The kids don't like it. Honestly speaking, sometimes the kids don't like it. One time I made mistake, and the cassava has those little bump, and the kids didn't really like it. I was the only one that eats that fufu that day. I was so mad, but yeah, I was the only one that eat it. Nobody want to eat it. So you got to keep mixing. You don't have to stop. You guys can see everything is getting thicker. It's thicker. So now that it's getting thicker, I need to change the spoon, because this one is not it's not doing anything for me anymore. It's getting thicker. The fufu and the fufu is getting thicker. The yam, let me say yam, the plantain and the cassava is cooking. It's getting thicker. So now I need to change this spoon. This time I'm going to take this big wood spoon. If you're an African, you definitely know the spoon when I take it. I'm going to take this big woody spoon. Now you need some water, because this is hot. You don't want to just take the spoon. You need to be dipping the spoon in the water, and then to remove the fufu from this mixture. And then now I'm going to take a wooden spoon, because that wooden spoon will allow me to mix this very well. As you guys can see, now we are jumping into a different level of mixing. So now you have to mix. Now you have passed that stage that those bumps will come. So now no bumps will come, because everything it's already cooking. Everything have already blend smoothly. So that's the reason why I use that first spoon, so that you make it, you can mix it very well and no bumps will come. So now you have passed that stage. Now it's another level of mixing. So now you just have to mix, because now it's cooking. You have to mix everything so that everything mixed together very well. So you guys can see how thick this part is. Challenging. This part is really challenging. It's changing colors. You guys can see how it's changing colors. So you're just gonna keep on mixing. Keep on mixing. This is all mixing. There's nothing you can do here. It's mixing. So now that everything is mixed, you're gonna allow it to steam for few minutes. Don't leave it and go and sit in the living room. Don't leave it and go and be watching movie on your phone. You really have to be vigilant. You really have to stay there and allow it to steam for few minutes. If not that, it will get burned, because this is not like a hard food. It will get burned. So you're just going to make sure everything is packed together, and then close it for few minutes, because it's already cooked, but you want it to steam. Add a little bit of water on top. Just sprinkle some water. You see, now it's cooked. You see how the color has changed? So you're going to mix it one more time, and then after you mix it, you have to taste it. The fufu is ready. So now I'm just going to share the fufu, and everybody going to eat their own. I'm just going to put a little bit for myself, because I want to sit alone and eat. So guys, this is it. Hope you all like this video. If you guys do, please do not forget to like, comment, subscribe, and share. Don't forget to follow me on my Instagram, my Facebook like page, all the links in the description box. Team Fullest. Peace out. Bye.